Hey everybody, welcome to the Slick Tree Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Langford. The point of this show is to help improve ourselves as dogmen and to raise the quality of the dogs on the end of our lead. So let's settle in, turn the volume up, and let's see if we can't learn a trick or two together from our guests. Hey everybody, you are listening to the Slick Tree Podcast, and I'm your host, Colby Langford. And today we have a special guest, Dexter Alexander, with us. How you doing, Dexter?
I'm doing pretty good, Colby. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. We were just both talking about how hot it is. Why don't you tell us where you're at, where you're from?
I'm currently residing in Martinville, Mississippi. It's about 45 minutes south of Jackson, 45 minutes north of Hattiesburg. For most people are more familiar with those larger cities. I'm originally from Little Rock, Arkansas. That's where I was born and raised. But since then, I kind of moved around here and there. And right now, I'm sitting down in Mississippi.
Gotcha. So, tell us about how you got into dogs and how you got started.
I grew up with dogs. Everybody in my family was pretty much either had beagles. A couple of my cousins, uncles dabbled in coon hounds and things like that. And whenever I ventured off to school, I said, I want to get me a dog. And I said I needed something I could kind of travel with. And the first dog I got was a Labrador. And I really wasn't a bird hunter and never was, but I used him to retrieve nutria rats and beavers out of the swamps whenever we'd go shoot them, me and a couple of my cousins. And then I kind of started looking at the tree dogs and said, these dogs here are pretty interesting. I thought I was going to be a hound man. And then I was on, it might have been Squirrel Dog Central or one of the tree dog pages somehow. And I ran across the mountain cur dogs. And I saw that those dogs treat squirrels and coons. And I grew up still hunting squirrels, just going out, sitting in the woods and making your moves as you see something. And I said, that sounds more my style there. So I started looking at those and talking to a few guys, and I ended up getting my first mountain cur dog in 2012. That was my first year of veterinary school down in Alabama, and I said, well, I'll get this dog here. They about 35 pounds that he can be in the house, because at that time I was in the apartment. So I said, I need something. I can't have a big 80-pound walker dog, walking around the house. I said, get me something that's, kind of on the smaller side, but still can get after it and do what I want to do. So that kind of led me to the mountain curs. And I think that summer, after my first year of vet school, I ended up getting one out of, may have been some part of Arkansas. I can't remember where the guy was, but I found it on a local ad page, and I got that dog and fooled with it a little bit, and it didn't pan out, but I was still kind of hooked on them. So after that, I guess the following year around Thanksgiving time, I was on Squirrel Dog Central page again, and Gerald Phillips had a post up about a cross he had made on Ammo and one of his females. And I got on the list for one of those. And ever since then, I've been all about these cur dogs. That one worked out really well for me. And I won't never not have one at this point, but that's kind of where my start was right there.
Gotcha. What I gotta ask, since I don't know nothing about them. Tell me a little bit about that nutria hunting you were doing with the lab.
Man, well, back around, I guess it was like around Hurricane Katrina, one of the big hurricanes, a lot of the nutria rats got pushed up to central Arkansas. Like, we didn't have them, coming up, because, we hunted and fished those woods and creeks all the time, and we didn't really have them. So we started seeing them, and we thought they were beavers at first, but whenever they hit the water, they didn't have no tails. So, man, my cousin, me and him, we got them 22s and them 17 HMRs, and we went to shooting them. And I had a lab, and he had another little lab mix, and we were getting them dogs to go out and retrieve those things out of the creeks and swamps. And we were getting them and cooking them in any kind of way we could, back then. And we were just doing it for fun. We weren't thinking about, too much anything else. But I think back then in Louisiana, they had a bounty on them for like $5 or $10 a tail. But we were filling the freezer with them. I was taking them back to Alabama to eat and everything else. I was just, I believe in eating. So that's what we were doing with them. But it was fun times. They've kind of went on since then. But back then, that was a real fun thing to do.
What do they eat like?
Man, like I say, we cooked them any kind of way you can think. We put them in, we grilled them, we fried them. They put them in stews over rice and gravy. They ate fine. We pretty much clean like a squirrel. That was my cousin's idea. He said, "You might clean like a squirrel." I was cleaning them like coon, a little bit more intricate, but we start skinning them things out. They pretty white meat like, they ate fine. We didn't taste the bad one, I'll tell you that. So I think they're pretty good. Sometimes I wish we still could find a few of them.
Yeah. So you mentioned vet school. What pushed you into being a vet?
Well, man, like I grew up pretty much on the Tennessee walking horse farm, and everybody in my family was farm something. I got uncles that raised cows. We had goats. We had chickens. My granddaddy was a pig farmer. So everything about me and around me was always kind of animal based. And when I started school at Jackson State University in 2011, I sit down in front of the lady and she said, "What you want to major in?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "What do you want to study?" I said, I never thought about it. I didn't know, too much anything about, major and all that, honestly. So she gave me a list and I went through and I was looking at it. It would be like English or math. And I said, well, I don't like math and I don't want to do a lot of writing. I said biology. I said, okay, I like science. I can do that. I said biology. She said, well, what you want to concentrate in? I said, oh, here you go with another question. So she gave me another list and it had, physical therapy, dentistry, veterinary medicine, and pre-med. And back to my, easy way of thinking. I said, okay, well, I don't really want to deal with people a whole lot. I said, I grew up on a farm. I said, veterinary medicine. And I stuck with it from there. And it actually kind of evolved as I grew, looking back on it. It kind of always evolved just to be something a little bit more in-depth animal-wise. I remember in kindergarten, we had a career day, and I went to school as a zookeeper. And about the age of 12, 13, I was showing Tennessee walking horses. And I all ate up with that, and I wanted to be a horse trainer so bad. My dad said, boy, you can't make no money being a horse trainer. So I just kind of something always pointed me towards animals. It just kind of leveled up or developed into something else more so or another. So I think it was probably always in the cards for me to do something with animals. I just didn't know what it was at the time. And I guess it all worked out. I kind of stayed on track, for whatever my thoughts were at the time. So it's pretty cool just to think about, how it came about. And my mom still showed me the picture of me with the bucket of animals when I was, 5 years old and all that kind of stuff. And it just seems like it's pretty cool how everything, I guess, kind of goes full circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's like I say, that's pretty much what brought me to that point. And I like I say, I went to Tuskegee University for vet school. That's in Alabama, about 25 minutes from Auburn University, and they also have a vet school down there. So I went there after I went to Jackson State University, and also did a semester at University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, where I took some agricultural courses before vet school started. And I started vet school in 2012. Fall of 2012 is when I started vet school.
So what do you concentrate now as a vet?
I work for the Department of Agriculture. I am a district veterinary medical officer, so I have I'll say a region, so to speak. I cover South Mississippi, and I have one facility that I cover in Alabama, and I do humane handling, good commercial practices. I do a lot of food exports, so like food animal products that, we do a lot of exporting to different countries of, our food supply goes elsewhere. So I go and make sure all the numbers are matching and things like that. And as far as like the humane handling goes, I go to the facilities and make sure the animals are being treated humanely as they go through the process before they become food products in our food chain. So before they go to the food giant or Piggly Wiggly and all that kind of stuff, me or someone like me or others, therefore, are kind of facilitating the processes of, making these things what they are.
Gotcha. So, to jump back over to dogs, why don't you tell us about what you're hunting right now, Dexter?
Right now I'm hunting the dog, my Medina dog. I'm pretty sure I drew you in Oklahoma, and well, I didn't draw you, but we made it to the finals. My Medina dog is what I'm hunting right now, and I got a pup off her, and Bayou Smack that Brandon Lowry hunts. She's just turned 6 years old. Uh, Pretty solid dog, always consistent. Gonna give you a chance if she don't get out of pocket somewhere. But she's a fun, very, very fun dog. You can put her in squirrels, and she can show you the fur, and she can also tree a coon or two. So we've been trying to get ready for a few hunts. We got a few goals to hopefully reach this year. We had all right, comp season last year. Got fifth at the Battle of the Breeds, and got reserve at Mississippi State Hunt, and had a few other cast wins and placements in other places. But we're gonna try to grind her out this year and make her a night champion and a few other things. And probably this may be her last comp season. I'm thinking if I can get something coming behind her, and I'll probably breed her one more time and see if I can get something out of her. And that's what I'll be doing.
What can you tell me about how she's bred?
She's out of Tree Slamming HD, and what's that dog's name? Tree Slamming HD is a daddy that Jamie Pauley and Robert Bigger pushed back in, I guess, about 4 years or so ago. Probably one of the few tricolored dogs that got a lot of heat back then. Looks like a short-eared walker, everybody says.
Mm-hmm.
And she's out of what's her mama's name? Can't think of it right now. But her mama is a full littermate sister to McCurdy's big stomp dog. That Donnie McCurdy won the 2020, I believe, NKC World Championship with. So out of two good dogs and a well campaigned dogs, I guess at the time. Good, and that dog Stump goes back to Ammo, of course, which won a whole lot and all that kind of stuff. So she's that's what she's out of. I think pretty much all her litter did pretty good. She was wild as a hare coming in at 4 months old. She had the tools. She was just trying to put them all together, and she started treeing squirrels pretty consistent around 10 months old. And I probably finally got one down to her at about 11 and a half months, and since then, hey, it's been all business.
Nice.
Yeah, but that's what I'm doing, and I still got my older female that was out of Ammo and Slate Creek Lacey that I told you that I got from Gerald Phillips up around Jamestown that I did a lot of good stuff with. She's retired, but she's still kicking, and she can still go tree a coon if I let her. But she don't owe me nothing if she don't never do another thing. She showed me a parts of this country I never would have thought I saw, and met a lot of good people, running behind that dog. And she would really, got me going and got my blood pumping, just as far as, what these cur dogs can do and meeting all these people and stuff like that. And like I said, I never would have thought that I would have, been where I am or seen what I've saw, I guess, at this point, because I didn't start, comp hunting her until she was 4 or 5. Like I got her my second year of vet school. She was treeing coons at 10 months old, and I just hunted her by herself. I never had even saw another cur dog hunt. And it's crazy to think I never saw another dog hunt or know, how these curs act, because I just had mine and I didn't know anybody else that had any. I didn't, go with anybody and say, okay, well, let me see how this dog hunt. I never saw another cur dog go. I just got one and started hunting it and said, okay, hey, this is my style. I can make this work, for me. And it just kind of evolved and snowballed, as time went on. And my buddy, he would go hunting with me, after school sometime down in Alabama. And he said, man, this is pretty fun. So he ended up getting, some dogs, but he didn't get cur dogs. He got hounds, and he went through a pile of hounds trying to get one that could tree, coons with my dog. And so we hunted together and all that kind of stuff. And time kind of progressed, and I graduated and he graduated, and he moved to Texas and I moved to South Carolina, and he was kind of pushing his dog in some of the comp hunts down there, and I was still just kind of pleasure hunting. And he said, man, you got to put that dog in some of those hunts up there. And I said, man, I don't know nothing about it, because I didn't, man, back then I wasn't even using I had a Garmin, but I didn't use it, because I say I can find her, most of the time. So I would just, follow her around. I had a little flashing light that Sport Dog sells, and that puts on the collar. I put that on there, and I said, okay, if I see that flashing light I know that's where she is, or something like that. And she was kind of a open mouth trailing dog, so I could hear her and know where she's going. Just kind of ease that way till she gets treed most of the time. But I messed around and let him talk me. I think he had won a couple casts down there in Texas with his dog, and he said, man, you ought to go. So I ended up getting on the NKC website and found a hunt. I think it was in Bristol, North Carolina, somewhere. That was probably about 4.5 hours from me, from where I was in South Carolina. And I rode up there one morning by myself, spitting rain, and won my morning cast, and went back out and won my evening cast. So I won the first 2 comp casts I'd ever been in. So at that point, it was all over with. From there, I met some good guys up there that weekend. Stan Brock, he said, man, you ain't far from me, and you way up here. We got to get together. And the next weekend, we went back to North Carolina. I rode with him and Mr. Haney Hancock. I rode with those guys, and we went to Kesar, North Carolina, and I won my cast that weekend too. So the first 3 comp casts I had ever been in, I won them all. So from that point, I was sure enough hooked. I mean, it wasn't nothing for me, to really be trying to get after with these dogs and go hunting somewhere. So that was pretty much my start. And far as the comp stuff goes, that was how I got started. Friends just telling me, man, go. And like I said, I went with a dog that had never, before I went to the hunt, I had never seen another cur dog hunt. I never at all seen another cur dog hunt. I mean, I've hunted with hounds plenty, with that dog and just, solo. But before then, I had never, been with another dog. So it was, kind of cool just to see and start meeting folks and start networking. And now, man, I went from not knowing anybody to knowing I probably could name 1,000 people or more that I know just from hunting these dogs. So it's pretty cool how it all works out.
Mm-hmm. So, where you're at now? What's your train like, and how do you hunt your dogs now?
My terrain is flat. I'm a flatlander. I don't like no hills. I don't like no mountains. It's flat here. We got swamps. We got some field edges. We can cut them down. We got a lot of pines here. We in the pine belt, so we can, if you want a dry hole one, I can take you to a pines where you won't see a hardwood. It may be 2 or 3 hardwoods in the whole patch. But that's pretty much how it is for me here. I mean, here, that's how it is. But of course, when you go to these comp hunts, you never know what you're gonna be in. It's gonna be hills. You're gonna see mountains. You're gonna see straight field edge, just depending on where you're going. So I've kind of seen it all, going from state to state. But right here where I am, it's flat, and it's pretty much it's pretty wide open in most spots that I hunt. I hunt mostly public land through the year. I mean, we got lots of private, but deer season, all that kind of stuff kind of hampers that. But I got good public land that I can put them on. and, work a dog real good. And then whenever I go back home to Arkansas, I got, a ton of game there that I can put on one. So I'd say I got a good mix for whatever. I guess the only time I kind of, get in the bind is when I go somewhere. They got the hills and the mountains, and like I say, she'll get out of pocket on me, and instead of it taking me 20 minutes to walk, a mile, it may take me 45 minutes, and depending on how it is, we might get scratched. I think that's what happened last time I was in Alabama, climbing them hills and things, and we didn't make it back in time after she got out of pocket. So that's just part of it. I take one like that over, over the alternative, because I don't do no walk hunting. I don't road hunt. I cast them, and I expect them to get through there and get treated somewhere, and they know I'm coming, and that's the agreement we have. Hey, you go get treated. I don't care where you go get treated. I'm coming, and once they realize and know that, hey, we can get along real good around here.
Mm-hmm. So how do you like to start one? You're talking about that young dog you got right now. Tell us kind of where she's at, and tell us about her and what you got going on with her right now.
How I like to start one, I'd say for me, it all kind of varies. Like I say, I had never seen these dogs before. So the first dog I had, I think I would get roadkill, and I'd try to make drags and things like that and tease them up on that. I do that. I do that a few times. And whenever I get them to where I can't hide it from, where they find that, then I kind of move on, and I get a cage coon, and I tease them with that, let them tree that. And I guess right around when I feel like I think they're gonna tree it, I take that coon and I wet it down good. I don't really know why. I guess it's a scenting thing that I've somehow bought into, but mostly say wet that coon down, to leave a better scent. And I wet that coon down and let them go, and go back and turn the dog loose, and they go tree that coon. At that point, now we're gonna start putting them in game and hunting around feeders and things like that. And if they putting it all together like I hope they or think they are, they should most of the time go to treeing coons. And that's how my Michi dog was. I did that a few times, and I could never fool her. So once I did that turnout one time, she went to treeing, and I think, like I say, about 11 months old, she was treeing coons and house cats, or might not be house cats. She treeing feral cats and all types of stuff. She'd find them in the woods and put them up. And I always say, if a dog can tree one of them feral cats, they gonna make. That's one thing I do think, and it's held true for the most part for me. But I try to, then nowadays you try to, let them kind of just develop. You hear about all these naturals and all that, so you just kind of give them the opportunity, to get out and start finding game and things like that. And with my Medina dog, that's pretty much, what I did with her. I didn't do a lot of the drags and cages and all that kind of stuff, because at 4 months old, I was living in a little townhouse in Hattiesburg, and I didn't really have, I didn't have any land and all that. Didn't know about all the publics and stuff like that. So 4 months old, we just go to the park with a lot of squirrels in it, and she chased that squirrel, and she'd get to the tree, and she'd still be looking for it on the ground. And once she got to the point to where she can start knowing they were climbing up trees, she kind of would get up on the tree and be looking, but she wouldn't bark. So it just kind of took a little time to develop and put it all together, to know, like, okay, when I see that squirrel and it goes to that tree, that's where squirrels are. They up trees. So once she figured that out, she was all business for the most part. And like I say, at 4 months old, she was going, 400 or 500 yards through the woods by herself. And my Michi dog wasn't like that. She started off more of a close hunter, but this Medina dog here, she is gonna go. And that's what I love about her. She's not going. You cut her loose, she's gone. You turn your head too long just to let her out the pen, she's gone. I know in the finals, up there with you, she went like 1.2 or something, and like I say, blew out of pocket, and had to drive and get her and all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of dog that she is. And like I say, for her, it was just pretty much all natural, just drive and wanting to go. I think those are the easier ones to start. A lot of guys say, like a lot of big guys say, the less you have to do with a dog, the better off you are. And I can see that, because if you have to kind of make one do and, all that kind of stuff, that's when all your flaws kind of, come back on you, because it's not natural to the dog, trying to make the dog, you know, tree a certain way and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of, it kind of puts the dog ain't comfortable. You want the dog to be comfortable doing what it do. You want the dog to enjoy doing what it's doing. I always say, once they start liking it, that's when you're really going to start having fun. And that's the part. But you gotta let a dog develop and kind of figure out, what they like. All of them ain't gonna tree, everything. You can see a squirrel go climb up a tree and go let a dog out, and it may not even know that squirrel was there, because it may not, that squirrel might not be the type of squirrel that dog likes. I believe each dog, is different on the type of game they like. Like some dogs ain't gonna tree on a cold tree. Hey, they want a hot one. So you got one dog that's gonna sit here and may make 10 trees in a 20-acre block, and you got one that might make 3. It just, all dogs are different. You just got to hunt them to their strengths and kind of put them in position to get the most out of them. That's my main, that's my thoughts on it, I'd say. And I ain't no pro. I'm just, I got, say a few dogs I feel like I've done well with, and I've seen a lot of dogs, from different places, that folks say, oh, I did this or I did that, or I didn't do nothing at all. All this was natural. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just it's just one of those things. I believe you just kind of take your time and look at them for what they are, and be honest with yourself about what the dog is and what is not, because all these dogs not gonna be the same. Like I say, I've had, the first dog I had, it was my very first one. He was a male dog, and I didn't get anything out of him. I think he may have barked at a possum one time in the cage. That was it. I got rid of him, got my Michi dog, and she was always progressing and showing me more and more and more. And that's kind of what I like to see when I'm fooling with a young dog. Keep showing me more and more. Like, don't get to the point to where you still doing things at 11 months that I saw you doing at 6 months, because now we got 5 months worth of time. And if I'm really putting you in the best position, I should be seeing more. You know what I mean? So I just kind of be honest and be fair to them, and give them the best opportunity I can to put them in game. Take them wherever, make them your friend. Because like my Michi dog, she was a house dog. She was in the house with me. She rode with me. When I was on the road in South Carolina, when I first got out of school, I was relief. So that means like I'd travel to Georgia and go to facilities down there in upstate South Carolina and everywhere. She'd be right there in the car with me, and she'd be in the hotel room all week long with me right there in the hotel. And come Friday, I go back to the hotel and get her, and we'd go home, and we'd hunt that weekend and do it all over the next week. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So make them your friends, to the best of your ability. Some dogs are hard to like, and I'm a female guy. So I get along pretty well with female dogs. Me and male dogs, I don't know if it's because we both got the same tool or what, but we don't always see eye to eye and get along real good. But females, if they got any type of sense, me and them get along pretty well. So I just try to take up with them. I just came back from Alabama this morning, and I coon hunted last night, and I got one of my dogs with me now. She rode with me, and we just, like I say, keep a dog. Try to make it enjoyable for them. Keep them happy, and they tend to want to make you happy. If everything is stressful to them, I don't feel like you're gonna get as much out of them. But if you can make them like it and enjoy it, and they want to please you, most of the time, if a dog is really bonded with you, they're gonna want to please you, and they're gonna understand what you want, and they're gonna do it a whole lot more better, for lack of better terms. If they like you, and they know that that you there for them. Like I say, they know that if they go through here and get treed, hell or high water, he coming to get me. And, once we make that type of agreement, we pretty much all right. So that's just kind of how I am, man. I just like to, whatever I see, I try to, work towards their strengths. And whenever I kind of get upset with one, I just try to take a break and try to let it be a dog again. I just feed it and kind of pet on it, let it run loose, and then it'll show me that it wants to do something a little bit more. Then we kind of try to ease back into it and see what we can make happen at that point.
I got you. You said earlier that you believe in eating. What's your favorite tree game to eat?
Raccoon, raccoon. I grew up. My elders cooked raccoon so good. I would trade. I would pick a raccoon over the biggest steak you could find. Hey, I'm a raccoon eater. Uh,
I've had it once or twice, but could you give me some tips? I'm game to eat about anything. What how do you guys like prepared?
uh, baked, slow baked. Over. Well, I guess with sweet potatoes on top of. That's how it always. That's how we always had it coming up. I'd say that's probably the best way to this day to me. I haven't mastered it. I've tried it a couple times, but the best coon that I cook, I like to smoke them. I put them on the smoker. Like they say, low and slow for 3 or 4 hours, and I might wrap it and baste it with a barbecue sauce or something and let it get tender. And that's the best way that I do it myself. I mean, I fried them. If you fry it, you want to fry it in a big pot. So you got a good surface area and let that grease get hot, but you want to kind of fry it slow. You don't fry it fast, like it ain't gonna fry fast like a fish does. And then, like my elder say, you don't want an old coon, you want a this year coon. So you want something close to a just outside of kitten stage. You don't want one that's a pound, but you get a coon that's about 6 or 7 pounds. That one to fry good. So that's kind of what I'm like, but that's my favorite. I mean, I eat everything. I eat squirrel. I ain't ate a possum, but my elders died. But they say the possum is better than the coon. But I just ain't uh, put my mind to it to try to know anybody that's gonna cook it these days. But I'm about game to eat anything most of the time. The raccoon is by far my favorite.
How would they? You said with sweet potatoes. So how else would they season it?
Uh, Man, they let me see. My auntie would say, "Got to have you some oregano. You got to have you some oregano." But other than that, I'd say probably oregano, salt, pepper, whatever your favorite season salt is. What's the one called?
We use
It's
Lowry's.
Cavender's. Cavender's, I
Cavender's,
think
yeah.
is the name of it. I think that those are the main seasons that I feel like I remember them using. Coming up. Was those 3 or 4, not a whole lot. It ain't nothing fancy, man. Like I say, people say what's your season. I mean, whatever season you like, most of the time is gonna be what you prefer. I guess to me, as far as eating it, you need to get it to where it's tender, because that's so you can chew it, because you can put it whatever season you want on it, but if you don't cook it, you don't cook it right and it's tough and you can't chew it, the seasoning don't matter a whole lot. So I think for the most part, hey, you get that thing to where you can chew on it, hey, you can be all right. I mean, like I say, low and slow most of the time. Hey, get it there. Hey, don't be in no rush when you're doing it. Make sure you musk them. Get those musk glands out of there so they don't swell up and have the meat sour tasting to you. I
Where
think
they
you'll
at?
be in pretty good shape.
Where's the musks at?
All like in your joints, like your behind the kneecaps and in your elbows. You'll find some around the neck, like your lymph nodes. Is basically is what the lymph nodes is what basically what the glands are for the most part.
Gotcha.
So wherever your lymph nodes are, hey, you can find them. And most of the time, I mean, I got an uncle. He musked squirrels too. I didn't really musk squirrels coming up, but he musked squirrels. If he get some of those big fox squirrels, he'll musk those as well.
Hmm.
But and that's pretty much what it would go. And I guess, like I say, man, I don't know. I can't say that what's true or not. A lot of things, as in life, we just grow up and we hear this, and so we just kind of live by it. So I always musk a coon. So if I ever gave somebody a coon, I say it's clean. I ain't musted yet, so you got to musk it whenever it thaw back out or whatever. So somebody knows, hey, you got to musk that coon. So that's just part of it. I mean, I definitely wouldn't try it, and I wouldn't try not musking one and eating it, because I guess at this point, if it don't work, I knew better, and I just tried to do something my own way. But that's pretty much how it goes around here for me, and for what we do. lot of my folks are, I didn't grow up around no picky eaters.
Mm-hmm.
We eat pretty much everything. I remember, I think like I say, my granddaddy was a hog farm. The first piece of pig I really remember eating coming up, was a pig ear sandwich. First thing I remember eating off a pig. So we came up. I guess we the last of the Mohicans compared to kids these days and what they eat and won't eat and all that type of stuff. But I wouldn't change. I wouldn't change it for nothing personally. And I still try to stay close to that as possible. I don't do a lot of grocery store shopping, and I believe in like I say, if I'm hunting and killing, that's what's going in the freeze for me. So that's what it's gonna be. We used to do a lot of potlucks and group of my friends, like I say, in my study group or whatever in vet school. We cook lunch for each other. Everybody pick a day a week, and whenever came my time to cook, they say, "You cook it, but don't tell us what it is till after we eat it." So I cook something, and they'd eat it. They'd be just as head over heels for it. Then they asked me what it was, and I can't believe I ate that. And I say, it was good, wasn't it? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of how I am to this day. I'm like I say, hey, I'm pretty old school in my way of thinking and moving around this world today. So uh, that's kind of how like I say, that's how I am, and that's just what I do for the most part. I enjoy it. I like I say, dealing with these dogs. You deal with a lot of like-minded people that still are like that these days. The money is out there so deep now. You don't really hear about people eating stuff as much. And I'm not a big shooter personally. I just like to work dogs more than anything. But I will go out and kill some. Somebody wants to go hunting, I take them and I just work the dog and let them shoot. So I ain't like saying I ain't one that got to kill everything a dog trees. But hey, if I need to put some in that freezer, I can do it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What kind of squirrels you guys got down there?
Mostly grays. We will run across a fox squirrel every now and then, depending on where we are. Uh, the Delta is probably a couple hours from me. They got fox squirrels. I've only gun hunted there once. I've comp hunted there a couple times, and they got the black squirrels and the fox squirrels and the phase squirrels. Uh, then in Bienville, that's where I mainly hunt at public land. It's majority gray squirrels, but depending on where you get into, we can find some of those fox phase squirrels. So those are the squirrels that maybe, just like big red, but they have like a white nose or, a black head and all that type of stuff. So it's some pretty cool looking squirrels. But most of the time our squirrels are going to be gray, and most of the time I'd say around here, they pretty wild. Once they start rolling, they going. They ain't gonna stop. Like right here at the house, these squirrels I got track stars. Once they get those little feet running, they ain't stopping until they well out of your sight and line of fire. If you shooting or doing anything like that, they gonna get away. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got around here. I wish we had more fox squirrels. Uh, but hey, not so much. Just to have a little variety every now and then. Uh, my elders will say the gray squirrels eat better, but the fox squirrel was always bigger. So I guess you kind of take it for what it is at that point.
So back to you being a vet and all. What kind of advice you got for other dog hunters with your training you've had?
Get off the internet. That's the best thing I can tell you. Get off the internet. Uh, but no, man, I guess I'm gonna take it like this because all information is out there for you to get. So I can't really say anything that people don't know. But I would say the way that most people go about things may be a little off from what I would suggest. And I always felt like I was talking to my buddy, and when I first went to vet school, I was, oh yeah, man, this is gonna be good. Like I can, help, people that I'm, in the dog community, and I can tell them this good stuff that I just learned and all this kind of stuff. And it's the total opposite because we are creatures of habit. You know what I'm saying? So you can know one thing and you can try to tell somebody something, but they're going to tell you, oh, well, this is what we've been doing for 30 years, type of stuff. So once you kind of weed through that and, talk to, people that want to be talked to, because I tried to, give advice and stuff like that when I first was in school and tell people this or that. And it was it was a waste of time. So I don't really solicit a lot of information. If somebody asks me directly, then I'll, talk to them. But I'd say for the most part, main thing that I would always suggest, of course, is get a dog on a routine, on a health routine. Get your deworming schedule down. Get your core vaccinations, of course. Dealing with puppies, 6, 8, 12, and 16 weeks old. Get those shots. Try to limit co-mingling until at least the second or third round of shots. Don't put a young puppy that hadn't had any shots in a pen full of foxhounds that's may or may not be carrying some type of illness that you're unaware of. What else I'd say? Like I say, deworming protocol, I'd say, is probably one of the biggest things, because most of the problems that we face as dog owners are preventable, and it's a lot easier to prevent something than it is to treat something. So get a dog on a good heartworm medication. You can use whatever. I mean, I know that's a big fuss all the time on the internet, but people are using this and that and this and that. Okay, well, that's fine if that's what you're gonna do, but just know, if you're going to go out and give this horse pace, it's a very small window, for error. So too much and you just killed your dog. Too little and you didn't do anything at all beneficial to help, keep the parasites outside of the dog. And then too, we have a lot of these dog supply companies that are starting to, make and manufacture these pills and supplements and stuff like that in-house, for a fraction of the cost. True indeed. But what you don't get, that you get with the pharmaceutical companies, is the backing if your dog does come down, with heartworms or something like that, that is supposed to be that is supposed to be, prevented. So just so to speak, if I'm giving my dog NexGard or something like that, and 4 months down the road, when I go to get my dog his checkup, she comes back positive for heartworms. Okay, we're gonna call NexGard and let them know that, hey, my dog has been on this pill, this paperwork right here, for this amount of time, and she's tested positive for heartworms. They're gonna come back and whatever the discussion is, and they're gonna pay for that treatment plan to treat my dog for heartworms, because my dog was on their medication. If I'm giving my dog a horse paste or something that somebody is, making a concocting, amongst a group of buddies, that's just on me. So now I'm faced with, a $1,000+ treatment plan, to treat my dog for heartworms. If, sometimes I say, hey, dare to say, but some people will not treat it, and still keep on running the dog until whatever. So I think, to me, that's a big thing. I mean, it's a lot, especially, when you get a lot of people talking about what they, the price of things. But these days, I would think, especially, like I say, the money is there. Like, the money is there to be made. So if we have a working dog, you go to comp hunts or whatever, a lot of times these dogs pay for themselves. You know what I mean? So if I'm, hunting this dog and, she wins, even if she wins a $40 bag of dog food, okay, that $40 bag of dog food, I can take that $40 that I was going to spend on food and put it towards good medicine. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, okay, these dogs pay for themselves if we really look at it, to where, it's not, coming out, oh, I got to come out of my pocket for this. No, the dog is paying for it. If you treat the dog right, they going to treat you right. So make it easy on both of y'all and just kind of do what I would say is the smarter thing to do, because we're gonna push these dogs to and expect a lot out of them, but they can't operate good. It's just like going to work with a headache. You ain't gonna be all you can be if you got a headache or if your stomach's hurting or you ain't if you ain't all the way up to speed. And these dogs, I feel like, are the same way if they're not feeling good. So my dogs, I keep them on keep them on a good heartworm preventative. My dogs that I push, like during comp season, they get checkups and dentals every 6 months. So they get their teeth cleaned, they get blood panels pulled so I can check the levels to see, okay, what's if they, kidneys a little out of whack, liver functions low, stuff like that. They get tested for, heartworms, tick-borne diseases. Tick-borne diseases is another big thing going right now. It's probably one of the most inevitable type things, and thinking about it, because a dog is going to get a tick more times than not. And even on prevention, which a lot of prevention is out there now the same way as it is for heartworms and stuff, it's out there for fleas and ticks. But dogs get on get in the bed of ticks. Now you fighting limes or lichia and stuff like that. And that one's kind of different from heartworms, because my Medina dog, actually, her last checkup, she came back positive for lichia. And it's not, I guess, bad because it doesn't affect her. Like, you can't tell that she got it, so I don't have to, don't treat, or lichia is one like, oh, you don't treat unless you see signs that it's affecting them. Her, it doesn't affect. Some dogs get it and they get down bad. So in that case, okay, now you got to go through that treatment protocol, trying to get them back to, where they should be. And, that's another hard thing too, because a lot of times these treatments are, months long. So you telling somebody that, wants to push this dog for campaigning and whatever, that they can't hunt this dog for 2 months, they ain't gonna, be too thrilled about that. So now they, kind of doing a little bit more than what they should with it sometimes, like I say, if it's a dog that's affected by it. So you deal with a lot of client cooperation issues on that side of veterinary medicine. But I'd say get on a good health program, establish a good relationship with your veterinarian, because most of the time, especially with the working dogs, people they'll work with you. I believe in, small town guys. I did a lot of internships and externships in small towns, and the hunting dog community was well received, and they loved the vet, and the vet loved them and everything. So they know, how it is when a man got, 100 bird dogs or 50 deer dogs and things like that. So they're gonna try to, do what's best for you and all, because like I say, at the end of the day, you helping them and they help you, kind of deal. It's not like veterinarians, all veterinarians have to get your money and all that type of stuff, It's like I say, it's a big deal. It's a push and pull a lot. You just kind of find a good lane and find somebody that you can get along with, I'd say, for the most part, and go from there. Because at the end of the day, everybody should have the dog or whatever animal have its best interests in mind, I'd say. I'd probably say one of the biggest things I see, especially with tree dogs, is everybody's always, my dog barked his mouth out. What should I do? Like, that's probably the biggest. And I promise you, Kobe, when I see that post, I scroll by it like I had the finger of Paul Bunyan, because I don't want to read none of the comments, because it's one of those things. It's like, oh, what do you do? And you'll see people, oh, give it mayonnaise, give it honey, give it LA 200, give it this, give it that. And I'm like, what's the mode of action behind this? If a dog barks his mouth out, its vocal cords are inflamed. So what you want to do, and I've done it, I've dealt with it right here in house, on numerous occasions where a dog barks his mouth out. You want to give that dog absolutely no reason to bark, no chance to bark. And that's the difficult thing that some people may or may not want to do or be able to do. So when my dog barks his mouth out, they coming in the house. They are only on leash walks when we go outside. I'm gonna get an anti-inflammatory to give them, and I may do like a cough suppressant or something like that. And my whole goal, I mean, literally, like I've done it for like 3 weeks where I don't let a dog bark. I mean, for nothing. Like they are with me, they go to work with me, they come home with me. They have no chance absolutely to bark because you have to let those vocal cords heal. Like when those, like just think of your finger and just your index finger, and you can use index and your middle finger, whatever. Just put those two beside each other. That's regular vocal cords. Then think about it when they're inflamed, double up and look how how thick that's what's going on, when a dog's hoarse like that, because the vocal cords are so swollen from it could be from just barking, just be a barking maniac, whatever the case may be, but you got swollen vocal cords. The antibiotic has no anti-inflammatory property, so it's not going to help you. You are just shooting the dog up just to say that you gave it something, but it's really not doing anything for you. So I would say like that's probably the biggest thing that I see for the most part, because everybody barked his mouth off, mouth won't come back. I've had dogs that lost their mouth, and I've got them all back by just giving them time. Like you can't hunt a dog with inflamed cords and think that they're gonna get better, because it's still causing injury. It's like running on a bad leg. Like, oh, the leg got a splint on it, but I'm still gonna hunt them. You still it's still it's prolonging the full potential of healing for the most part. So I'd say that's probably another big one that I say probably the biggest that I can think of is dogs losing their mouth. And like I say, that would be my tip, is just let the dog rest. I mean, like I say, I can say this until I'm blue in the face, but everybody's gonna still have their own idea, but maybe this may help somebody. I mean, I have a few guys that reach out to me every now and then and ask me questions about different stuff, and I tell them what works for me. If not, if I don't know, I can find out, or whatever the case may be. But those few things right there are probably the biggest. Other than that, man, good nutrition. I mean, everybody fights about dog food, and this food here is this, and that dog food is that. But I'd say always go with the best you can afford for the most part. Like, get you something that's good, that can sustain the workload. I'm talking working dogs. For the most part, get you something that's gonna keep your dog in good shape. Like, you don't want nothing that just runs through your dog so fast that they're not getting any benefit from it, and now they're looking dull. They not, you having to feed more and all type of stuff. So get you something that's gonna really hold your dog up. I'm not an advocate for anything. Don't nobody pay me, but I fed pretty much, I guess, everything that's out there at some point. And I'd say maybe my preferences or whatever, but just get you something good that works for your dog, because all dog foods aren't necessarily equal, and all dogs don't operate the same on every dog food either. So find something that works for you and yours, works for your pocket, and works for their stamina and gut and all that kind of stuff, and you can be in pretty good shape more times than not, because most everything is supposed to work. Like they say, is like a fishing tackle. Whatever that green jitterbug is supposed to catch fish, or they probably wouldn't be able to sell it. You know what I'm saying? But it may not work for everybody. It may not work in the water you fishing that day. Dog foods are the same. Everybody got their preferences, and sometimes I feel like people got preferences for different reasons. But like I say, I try to be completely unbiased in whatever I'm saying, because like I say, I'm not pushing for anything. But one thing that I always learned from going here and there is just tell people, do the best you can by the animal, and can't nobody argue with you or say anything bad about you if you're doing the best you can for them. So that's pretty much my input on that part of it.
To back up to that blood panel and the dental you were talking about, you do every 6 months. If a guy wanted to do something like that and went into his vet, like what exactly would he need to tell him? What all is that panel testing for?
Well, the panel is running blood. It's like CBC and chemistry. So it runs like your liver values, your kidney functions, um, your proteins, your sugars, like all that type of stuff. And all that does is it tells the vet and their staff that the insides are working. The liver is filtering out like its stuff is supposed to. The kidneys are still operating within the realm it's supposed to. Nothing is too high, nothing is too low, and everything is within normal limits that this animal is healthy. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So a lot of times we are always treating for what we see, but the things that we don't see are the things that, kind of sneak up on us. You know what I mean? So over time, like I say, we go every 6 months. And I try to always make it like right before comp season goes on to make sure that, okay, she's good. We can go, we can run the roads. We can do whatever we got to do. So that's what those, like I say, you're testing the values for each, for basically for your organ functions is what most of, your blood work and stuff does. Dentals, kind of the same way. You just tell them, hey, I want a dental. So they put your dog under anesthesia and they go through and they scale his teeth, which is like getting all the plaque and stuff off of it. And they check for any, pockets and, gingivitis and all that type of stuff. Just like humans, man. Like everything that we go through as humans, animals see the same thing. As far as just like cancer, kidney failure, all type of stuff, like dogs, horses, everything, goes through something very similar to that. And having a baseline of health, just like if I go get a physical, my dogs go get a physical, saying, okay, yeah, you good. When I get blood work done, get my blood pressure checked, all that, dogs, they get the same type of treatment. I go get my teeth cleaned every 6 months too. Dogs go in, because a lot of times a lot of bacteria is made in the mouth. Dogs are here eating grass. Some eat dead stuff, like all type of stuff is going through the mouth. So you go and you get that plaque and all that kind of stuff off the mouth, because a lot of times you can cause a bacterial pneumonia from, the inhalation of, the bacteria that's just been built up on the teeth. A dog's breath shouldn't be rancid. I mean, it's a dog, true enough, and it's not going to smell like wintergreen and peppermint, but it shouldn't smell like the back of a garbage truck either. So that's the thing. And like I say, I brush my dog's teeth. Like, and I'm not saying I do it every day like I do my own, but I was like, yep, we need to brush some teeth. So we brush teeth, stuff like that. Get you old toothbrush, or they got dog toothbrushes and some dog toothpaste, like the enzymatic toothpaste, and brush teeth. Even if you do it, once a month is better than none at all. In between, if you're gonna get those dentals and stuff like that. So everything. The small things add up. You know what I mean? And I like to feel like, taking the extra little step to do stuff like that, the dog is gonna feel better. I'm gonna feel better knowing that I did it, and not hoping that something going wrong. Because me and everybody else, most of the time, you could be hunting a dog or whatever, and you can be like, man, this dog ain't operating right. Something ain't right. And instead of trying to really find out, what may be the issue, we go to Facebook and say this dog ain't acting right, and then you got everybody, oh, thyroid bad, so now everybody wants to put it on thyroid pills, or this and that, or shooting it up with Dex and B12. Like, man, it's just so much stuff that, goes on, I guess, in the community. It's like, I think it's a better way that we could go about this to really get down to what's going on and what's needed and what's not. Because, a lot of times we talk about, everything, everybody want to talk about the bottom line and spending, money and things like that. But if you do something right the first time, you most of the time gonna come out ahead, on the back end. So that's like I say, that's my take on it, and that's what I try. And like I say, everybody's different. Everybody, does what works for them. I know some guys that, may never go to the vet, but their dogs are well taken care of. They got their plans, and they actually have some science behind their plans on what they do, and it works. Like, I'm never gonna talk against nobody, because we all on the same team at the end of the day. And like I say, I know this stuff can get expensive too, but a lot of times, you see and hear about dogs, just going through stuff. And I think to myself, I say, man, that dog, is a real good dog. That dog won $15,000 last year. Like, why does it have heartworms? Like, that shouldn't happen. Like, simple stuff like that, man. So I just always say, hey, do the best you can behind these dogs and any animals, and they gonna do well for you too.
Dexter, I sure have enjoyed chatting with you. We're about out of time on our hour that I usually shoot for on my episodes, but just want to say thank you for coming on and talking to all of us and letting us know what you think.
I got you, man. I sure appreciate you.
Well, everybody, take care and keep wearing out that boot leather. I just want to give everyone that's listening a sincere thank you. Getting this podcast going has been a project. I really hope you're enjoying it, and if you don't mind, give the show a good rating and review wherever you're listening to it at, or share it on your social media to help get some traction. I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to your feedback.